All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. This has been long overdue. This is a very important matter, and thanks again for coming. We'd like to thank the pastor here, Patterson, for having us at his church, for opening his doors to us. And it's an important part because we are in the community that right now is really reaching out to us, and we're reaching back out to them. Some other important members that are here from the community and law enforcement agencies. Community member Jeff Martin, he's the president of the NAACP St. Paul chapter. Tyrone Terrell, he is the chairperson for the African American Allegiance Leadership Council. Pastor Carl Miller, and of course our chief Tom Smith, and from the SAC from the ATF, Bernard Zaper.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here today, and what a great place to be. New Hope Baptist Church here, and with our partners that are here, and thank you to Reverend Patterson, because this is truly about keeping the peace, and there's no more peaceful place than when we all gather at a place of worship. We're here today to talk about gun violence in the city of St. Paul, something that I'm very passionate about. And I have been in dialogue with our partners behind us from the NAACP and Mr. Jeff Martin, Tyrone Terrell, our president of the African American Leadership Council, and also many other individuals where we have gotten together to talk about what are we going to do with the increase in gun violence that we've basically seen when we didn't have a winter, and some different things that have happened actually since the end of December. We know what the numbers are. We know that the numbers have gone up, and we've tried to be very proactive. And I can tell you that these individuals behind me right now, including Mr. Miller and others, Reverend Patterson, have already been doing things as community marshals to work with our young people, specifically a couple different groups in St. Paul that have had differences with each other that may have led to gun violence or other violent activities. So we are in the right path. But what I want to make sure to get across, especially for our young people, and we've worked with other diverse groups and our partners in the city as well, is don't fool around with guns. Just don't do it. Don't bring guns. We're working with other groups such as the Circle of Peace, where we've actually brought young groups together, individuals that have had differences and maybe have shot at each other, to put down their weapons. And if we can do this, because we have three roles here, or I believe that we have three roles as St. Paul police officers. Some of you have heard me say this before. Number one, we keep the peace. That's why we're all here today. We're keeping the peace. We're doing it through partnerships, community partnerships. That is critical. Number two, we promote public safety. That's you all coming here with us today, talking about, and hopefully young people hearing the message, to put down their guns. We have individuals in the community, including our police department, our gang unit, and others that aren't just doing enforcement work. We're out there trying to find alternatives and to assist young people to do the right thing. And the final thing is, if we do the first two well, we don't have to do the last one as much, and that's enforce the law. But I do want to say one thing and be very clear about it. For those individuals that are transporting or selling guns in the city of St. Paul to our youth and others, and for those people that are using guns indiscriminately on our streets in the city of St. Paul, we are going to come after you. We are going to arrest you, and we're going to use every tool in our toolbox to prosecute you, because we have to do that. Gun violence is senseless. We've been very lucky in the city of St. Paul. The numbers are up. Let me give you this. In the first 2 quarters, we're just about at the end of the second quarter right now, we've recovered 348 firearms so far in St. Paul. Now that's everything. I'm not giving you, I don't have the exact breakdowns, but I can tell you that our gang unit and patrol officers have recovered more guns than I've seen in a long time. That's a 67% increase for the same time period last year. I've shared that with my partners actually early on, the first quarter. A first quarter that's usually full of snow, and a year ago we couldn't even move anywhere from January, February, and March, to this year where we basically had an extended fall. Those are alarming numbers, and it bothers me about the number of guns that are coming to St. Paul, or that young people can get their hands on very easily. I've listened to some of those young people and heard their stories, by the way, how easy it is to get a firearm, and why maybe even though they don't want to carry one, that because another group may have one, they're still going to do it. And we're trying to solve those things peacefully first before having to do the other piece, the enforcement piece I talked about. We have a great partnership with our local ATF office, led by Supervisory Agent in Charge Bernard Zaper. We have a group of individuals committed that are working together to find people that are bringing guns into our city and also committing very violent gun crimes. I'll let BJ talk about that more himself. The last thing I wanted to say real quickly before I turn it over to BJ is I talk to young people all the time. I believe in mentorship. That's why we are here together as a group. Mentorship's important, especially for young people that are getting involved with some sort of violent activities, especially with firearms. We had a couple individuals that were shot yesterday in our city. And we believe it was a drug deal that went bad. But the bottom line is, why did we have 2 people shot? Why are there these guns that are there that we have to be concerned about, or innocent victims that could be hit? I talk about with young people and adults about the 60-second mistake. 60-second mistake. It takes 60 seconds for you to make a mistake that can change your life and the life of somebody else forever. Families, other family members. And when that bullet leaves that gun, you can never ever take it back. So I've asked young people in the city myself in numerous different events about think first, think before you act. In fact, we have think first cards. We do this in partnership with 180 Degrees. Our gang unit and our patrol officers all have these cards to give to young people so they can think about whether they put it in their card, in their pocket, about the actions they have, about where they might be late at night instead of maybe coming home and not being at a party where they think there might be some confrontations later to leave those individual parties and other things that they're involved with, but to take this card out and think about their actions. 60 seconds can change your life forever. And we want to make sure that we continue. We're one of the safest cities of our size in the entire country. We want to stay that way. We will do that through partnerships, but we'll also do it for those that want to cause harm in our city through strong and tough enforcement. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. I think the first thing that needs to be said is that the city is so lucky to have Chief Smith and a police department, St. Paul PD, proactive community outreach. I've worked violent crime over the last 20 years from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles. The formula is always the same when it comes to gun violence. The 90-second rule, 60-second rule makes perfect sense. If you interview the U.S. prison population, the big majority of people that are in there because of ego and being reactionary. And when it comes to gun violence, there is no second chance, unfortunately. We have the tools to see what's happening here. Crime guns in Minnesota in general are sourced from Minnesota. They're purchased here in the legal firearms industry. They change hands and they end up in crime. It's an average of about 2 to 3 years before they're used in crime from the time they leave the legitimate firearms market. And a lot of times firearms that are purchased specifically for crimes are purchased by people under the age of 30 with a valid Minnesota driver's license and no criminal history, and they purchase them for somebody else. This is called a straw purchase, which is illegal. As far as the crime guns that are recovered here, we trace them and they're imaged so there can be some history associated with them. We do a lot of analysis of those firearms so we can come up with criminal leads. The easy part is doing what we're doing here in St. Paul, which is a number of St. Paul police officers have been deputized as federal officers so they can work violations of the U.S. Gun Control Act and National Firearms Act. What happens when somebody gets prosecuted federally is they go to federal penitentiary. If it's involved with a crime of violence and a firearm, such as armed narcotics trafficking, they'll never probably see Minnesota again. They're going to go to Atlanta or Colorado or Kansas City with the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. That's the easy part. The hard part is keeping people from doing it. We want to take the cover off this partnership. It's been very effective in trying to get on the front end of violence trends that will be going up nationally in this country because of the population of 16 to 20-year-olds is always tied to increases in violent crime. We're going to have one of the largest populations in U.S. history. You have state penitentiary system that have to release prisoners early because of state budgets, and then you have high unemployment. Those three social factors overlay with an increase in violent crime. It's coming, and you can see it right here. Firearms tracing, which the St. Paul Police Department and the firearms imaging gives both the detectives that might be doing an assault investigation, something that might have happened right here, some leads that they didn't have before. And additionally, it gives us an opportunity to proactively look at where the crime goods are coming from. And so there's a good support from the United States Attorney's Office and a partnership with the District Attorney's Office for this purpose. But we wanted to thank Chief Smith for his commitment to the violent crime and the ATF task force and having these deputized officers to try to prevent these kind of things. We have some samples of crime guns over here on the table. These are recovered every day in the United States. They are recovered here in St. Paul. It doesn't matter if it's a small one or a big one, they'll kill you just the same. They'll change a family's life and they have a lifetime of regret associated with them. But Chief, thank you very much.
Certainly, I serve as the president of our Ministry Alliance here in St. Paul, and certainly from our perspective, we're very much concerned about our community. We're very much concerned about the young men who may be involved in these activities. And I guess one of the saddest things, if I said to my congregation oftentimes, that when I'm called upon to get involved is when someone has shot someone, or when someone has been shot, and we're called upon to deal with the families on both sides. And that's not something that I take pleasure in, dealing with these tragedies take place in our community year after year, year after year. And our desire is from the partnership, from the faith community, from our police departments, community leaders, that we may be able to reach out to our community, reach out to these young men and let them know that there's hope. And we know in spite of the things that may be going on in our nation now, that there is hope. We believe that, and we just want to encourage them to take on a new lifestyle, a new mindset about life and opportunities that can be afforded them in our community. So we pray and hope that this concerted effort that we're bringing together will certainly make a difference within our community, will make a difference in the lives of these young men that we are concentrating on. I know from the NAACP, the AALC, and the St. Paul Ministerial Alliance that we certainly have teamed up to try to send out a positive message to our community that we are very much concerned about the welfare of our community and welfare of a lot of these young men that are involved in these activities. We promote life. We're not here to promote anything else but life, and our young folks having a good positive life and a good life, and we want to be a part of that change. And we certainly thank our chief, and we certainly thank those who are involved reaching out to us, and we're reaching out to them to form this partnership that's been going on for a long time.
Well, I want to join in Pastor Patterson's comments, and we definitely promote life. At the NAACP, being the nation's oldest civil rights organization, we're about justice and equality for all. And you can't focus on justice and equality issues if you're worried about stepping outside of your home every day. We know that gun violence and gun possession is not something that's distinct to one group in our community. It's a national problem, but it's definitely a societal problem as a whole, and it will take a coming together of different groups of people to address this problem and to be creative in the way you approach it. It's not 100% a law enforcement that is going to correct this problem. It's going to be communities taking back their own communities, parents taking back their homes, and children learning all their alternatives to solving issues. Now, I wish that we had the magic drug, the magic placebo that would take away the violence that's going through our community. But the only thing I do know that works, and that's prayer. So we formed an alliance with the St. Paul Black Ministerial Alliance and the AALC and the NAACP, knowing that it's going to take a whole rounded, full-out attack on these societal issues, which violence being at the top, along with economic justice and equality throughout our system. We're definitely going to work with our partners, with the police department and with the ATF, and I was happy to hear that we're going to go after those who sell these firearms in our communities just as vigorously as we're going to go after those who possess them. Thank you.
Tyrone Terrell, I'm the chair of the African American Leadership Council, and again, it is a partnership. But I want to say out to the families, it's very important for you to talk to your children about what's going on here. These guns are taking 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20-year-old children from our community way too early. So it's about our community taking responsibility for what's going on. So do we have a partnership? Yes. But we need a family partnership to address what's going on in our community. These weapons are destroying our community and destroying way too many young people. And so we are in serious partnership with the police, ATF, but definitely with the African American Leadership Council, the NAACP, and the St. Paul Black Ministerial Alliance. But again, to the families, please talk to your children. That 60 seconds, 30 seconds, or whatever destroys two families. The shooter's family gets destroyed, and somebody's a victim. So we need for our community to take this serious in terms of we want to help, and we're going to be out in the streets helping our community. Thank you.